Hello, this vid is because of the recent appearance of Nigel Farage of UKIP on Question Time. Um, Now, why is it that UKIP are against the European Union? Well, the main reason they give is that the European Union is undemocratic, uh, and that we haven't been given a choice of a referendum as to whether we we will join the euro or the Lisbon Treaty. Well, in becoming part of the European Union, we were given a referendum in the 1970s, um, and people voted for the European Union. But at the time, it was simply a coal and steel tariff organisation, and it has evolved into a multinational organisation which seeks to integrate Europe. Now, Eurosceptics and pro-Europeans are agreeing on that point. Okay, the question is whether you think it's a good idea or not. Well, it seems to me, as a former Eurosceptic and now I'm a pro-European, now just get that out of the way first. Well, I'm also a social democrat and a moderate cultural English nationalist. Okay, so I've got a lot of different viewpoints. And UKIP, the more protest, the more and more the European Union becomes democratic, the more and more they protest about its undemocratic credentials. For instance, the Lisbon Treaty has a provision for petitions of 1 million votes from its citizens to become legislation, and it also gives a provision for countries to leave the EU. Now, doesn't this just cut UKIP off at the legs? Because UKIP is saying that the EU is some of the wildest supporters of UKIP say that the EU is a communist conspiracy. Its leader, Nigel Farage, is a former Conservative MP, so we can see where his viewpoint is. Basically, UKIP is a hard right, conservative, neo conservative, economically minded party. It seeks, like the BNP, to create a situation through what is called a carrier subject, such as Europe or such as immigration, a way to get into power, to create more power for themselves, to attack other political parties. Well, you may say, well, what's wrong with that? That's democracy. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it, but that's their job as a political party. But it's being dishonest, because what they would really like to do is to bring back Thatcherist economic policies into Britain and have Britain away from the European Union. Now, Britain in this situation wouldn't be like the often quoted example of Switzerland, a small neutral country trading with everyone. This would bring England and the UK out of the European Union zone and back into the American sphere and the Israeli sphere of influence. Now, that might sound very controversial, but it would probably, if this happened, it would probably lead to the breakup of Great Britain, and that would be that Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland would probably still want to be part of the EU, and then England would be left impoverished on its own without still any. It would still be called the United Kingdom. The English people would not be recognised as a nation at all. We would not get any of the new rights recognised, because you can't create a right. Natural rights exist, and economic rights exist, and specific rights such as women's maternity leave, that's a right, or their right, or people's right to strike, that's a right. the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are the natural rights. They can only be recognised and then enforced by the state. And the Lisbon Treaty does this. Now, the main reason I will admit that I was a Eurosceptic was that I didn't really understand the European Union and how it works. Now, the European Union seeks to put all of Europe together, but the main beneficiaries of Europe will be the northern European countries, and that will be England and Germany and Scandinavia. Of course, a tremendous amount of subsidies are being given to the southern European countries such as Spain, Italy, or southern Italy, I would say, because northern Italy is, of course, an industrial giant, and Greece and the Balkans, and also to the Eastern European countries which are coming in, so the Slavic countries will benefit as well. But the chief beneficiaries are the North European countries. Why? Because our ethics and our laws will be spread throughout the whole European region zone, and it will also, because of the methods that the European Union is using, by using incentives for the Middle East to be stable and prosperous, for using incentives to make a North African Union, will decrease immigration. Okay, the problem with UKIP is that they're trying to use unrealistic solutions. They want to isolate us, and then once they've isolated us, then they'll bring in cheap foreign labour, and then our workplace, our work marketplace, will be cut off from the actual people in this country who've been born here and work here and are citizens here. Now, this is not a racial point, but it is a resource point, and it's often it's often said that UKIP and the BNP are the only ones that are sticking up for the white population. It's absolutely the reverse, because why wouldn't the English people want to be part? As if you were a real nationalist and you believed in the welfare of your people, why wouldn't you want to be part of a European economic hyperpower, a process that's developing the European Union into a military superpower as well? We live in a world of mass globalised movements such as Al Qaeda, strong rival countries such as Russia and China, who are developing massive trade blocs such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is the largest territorial bloc in the world. Why isn't this on the news? You know, this is a threat to not only Britain but to all of Europe, and the only way to help one another is to do it together, and then we can learn to be. Then we can be a strong Europe, and then trade with everyone, and our laws will influence the people around us, and then they will become more positive towards Europe. They will be more prosperous in their own countries, and they won't want to come and work in Europe. It will be that the Europeans will get more jobs, more security, more prosperity. Okay? Now, I personally am very proud of my country, and I love my country, and I want to put the welfare of my nation, the English nation, first. I don't really care about the UK. The UK has denied us rights and denied us an English Parliament, whereas I believe within the EU we would get these things that we deserve as a nation. Because the nation has its rights and its honour, as well as people have their rights and their honour and their obligations as well to one another. And that's where I've got a social democratic viewpoint. Firstly, if UKIP or the BNP and the Conservatives ever made an alliance, the first thing that they would do would be to scrap the National Health Service, which under the European Union's economic rights, we would be able to be maintained. And also, they would prevent us from joining the euro, which would then make the European Union's currency, the euro, the world's reserve currency, and then all other currencies would then fund our prosperity. Okay? Thank you for listening. Peace. Long live England. Long live the EU.